Dear respected listeners, you are tuning into Buddha's Healing a Sanctuary, where we contemplate the Buddha's teachings to live peacefully amidst the flow of life. Words, fragrant blossoms, or piercing spears, amidst the chaotic rhythm of this impermanent world, surrounded by endless calculations of gain and loss. Have we ever allowed ourselves a moment of true stillness to reflect upon the words we have spoken throughout the day? In this modern era, we often rush through the river of time, hastily reacting to every unsatisfactory event, every minor inconvenience, completely forgetting that every single word uttered from our lips carries an immense, invisible power. Words may seem like mere sounds, fleeting vibrations carried away by the wind, dissolving into the vast emptiness of space the moment they are spoken. Yet, in truth, they are potent karmic seeds, sown directly into the fertile soil of our own storehouse consciousness, as well as into the hearts of those around us. There are gentle, sincere words, imbued with the pure energy of loving kindness and compassion. These words act like a refreshing, cool breeze sweeping across a barren, parched soul. They are like a warm, radiant smile capable of melting away the harshest frost of a bitter winter. Conversely, there are sharp, cold, and venomous words, heavy with anger, resentment, and judgment. These words function as invisible, poisoned daggers, piercing through defenses and leaving deep, bleeding wounds in the hearts of others, wounds that may fester for years, decades, or even an entire lifetime. The ancients have wisely observed that the fortunes and misfortunes of a human life largely manifest through the gateway of the mouth. The karma of speech, often referred to as verbal karma, is one of the heaviest and most profound karmic forces we can generate. It is the easiest karma to create, yet it is the one we are least vigilant about, every single day. We cross paths with countless individuals and face a multitude of circumstances. In moments of joy and serenity, our words flow as smoothly and gently as drifting clouds and meandering streams. However, when the heavy pressures of work bear down upon our shoulders, when unspoken sorrows accumulate within our families, or when trivial conflicts arise in society, the mind's tranquil surface is disturbed by violent waves. In those critical moments, bereft of the illuminating light of mindfulness, the dark fires of frustration, wounded pride, and deep-seated envy ignite. This inner inferno paves the way for a torrent of harsh, unforgiving words. We carelessly hurl insults, complaints, sarcastic remarks, or even vicious condemnations at others. Why? Simply to temporarily soothe a fragile ego that feels threatened or slighted, or to claim a meaningless victory in a petty, fruitless argument. We seek the upper hand, desiring to prove our rightness at the expense of another's peace. Yet, hidden behind that fleeting, shallow sense of satisfaction is an incredibly steep price that very few of us anticipate. The rapid and devastating depletion of our accumulated merit and blessings, the illusion of the ego, and the root of harmful speech. If we take a moment to look deeply, truly deeply, into the innermost chambers of our own minds, we will come to realize a profound truth. All harsh, unkind words originate from a mind that is deeply restless, insecure, and entangled in worldly attachments. When the ego, the clinging to the illusion of a separate self, asserts itself too forcefully, we become consumed by the need to defend our viewpoints. We rigidly hold onto the belief that we are absolutely right and others are entirely wrong. This fierce attachment to the dualistic notions of right and wrong, winning and losing, good and bad, unconsciously constructs a massive, impenetrable wall, severing the natural empathy and connection that should exist between human beings. Many of us harbor a deeply flawed assumption. We mistakenly believe that as long as our core intentions are good, as long as we do not harbor a deliberate, premeditated desire to harm another physical being, then slipping up and speaking rudely or harshly is acceptable. There is a common saying, having the mouth of a snake but the heart of a Buddha. Dear respected listeners, we must recognize that this is a dangerous and highly destructive illusion. Speech is not separate from the mind. Rather, it is the direct, unadulterated manifestation of our mental state. It is the clearest mirror, reflecting the true condition of our inner world at that exact moment. It is spiritually impossible for a mind that is entirely pure, utterly tranquil, and overflowing with boundless compassion to produce sounds dripping with bitterness, hostility, or deceit. When anger, jealousy, or resentment arises even as a tiny, seemingly insignificant ripple in the ocean of the mind, if it is not immediately recognized, embraced, and illuminated by the gentle light of mindfulness, it will rapidly escalate. It will morph into negative speech, radiating a dark energy that inflicts deep suffering upon both the listener and the speaker. Furthermore, the deeply ingrained habit of judging and criticizing others frequently acts as a protective shield, a psychological defense mechanism used to conceal our own hidden vulnerabilities and profound inner insecurities. When we feel dissatisfied with the trajectory of our own lives, when our inner landscape is littered with unhealed childhood wounds and unresolved traumas, we tend to project that accumulated pain onto others through our words. Pointing out the flaws and mistakes of others provides a fleeting, false sense of superiority and safety. It momentarily distracts us from facing our own shortcomings. However, this toxic cycle of projection and blame only breeds exhaustion, perpetuates animosity, and inevitably draws a heavy, suffocating chain of negative karmic consequences into our lives. The Buddha's profound teachings on the sanctity of silence and speech. The awakened one, radiating the boundless light of perfect wisdom, left behind profoundly moving and essential teachings regarding the vigilant guarding of our speech. The Buddha taught that in this world, people use physical fire to burn down vast, ancient, and silent forests. Yet there exists an invisible fire, millions of times more terrifying and destructive, capable of entirely incinerating the lush forests of merit that we have painstakingly cultivated over countless lifetimes. This catastrophic force is the fire of anger and malicious speech. Malicious words do not merely shatter the harmonious balance of the universe. They actively scorch the delicate seeds of peace, joy, and liberation within our own souls, according to the enlightened guidance of the Buddha. There are 4 specific types of speech that anyone who genuinely seeks a life of peace and spiritual liberation must absolutely abandon. 1. False speech. Words of deceit and untruth that distort reality and break the sacred bond of trust. 2. Divisive speech. Slanderous, backbiting words designed to turn people against one another, destroying friendships and communities. 3. Harsh speech. Cruel, abusive, and violent words intended to belittle, insult, and inflict deep emotional pain. 4. Idle chatter. Frivolous, meaningless gossip that wastes precious time, scatters the mind, and offers no spiritual or practical value. When a person allows their tongue to run wild, indulging freely in these 4 unwholesome types of speech, their spiritual merit becomes like water poured into a vessel, with a gaping hole at the bottom. No matter how diligently they attempt to perform good deeds, no matter how many sacred temples they visit to offer prayers, or how much wealth they generously donate to charity, their accumulated blessings will continuously leak out through the hole of their careless mouth, eventually leaving their spiritual vessel entirely empty and barren. The Buddha further illuminated this truth with a powerful analogy. A physical wound inflicted by a sword or a knife, regardless of how deep or gruesome it may be, will eventually heal. With the passage of time, proper care, and soothing medicine, new skin will form and the pain will subside. However, the psychological wound inflicted by venomous, cruel words slicing into a person's soul is far more insidious. Even after decades have passed, or even at the end of a lifetime, that invisible wound can tear open and bleed anew every single time the memory resurfaces. The belated remorse and apologies of the speaker cannot easily erase the agonizing scars deeply etched into the listener's consciousness. Therefore, the moment a harsh word is released into the world, an unwholesome karma is instantly solidified. The absolute, unwavering law of cause and effect will silently begin its work, inevitably bringing forth a harvest of suffering, obstacles, and sorrow upon the path of the one who sowed those bitter seeds, cultivating mindfulness to transform the energy of speech. Understanding the profound danger and heavy consequences of the karma of speech, we can truly appreciate the paramount importance of practicing mindfulness in every word we utter and every sound we make daily. Mindfulness is the illuminating lamp in the darkness. It is the state of complete, unwavering awareness in the present moment. When mindfulness is actively present, we no longer react blindly, automatically, or defensively to adversity. Imagine a moment when someone directs harsh, unfair, or unkind words toward you. Instead of instinctively raising your defenses like a porcupine displaying its quills, and immediately retaliating with even more venomous words to protect your fragile ego, mindfulness offers you a precious gift, the power of the sacred pause. It allows you to stop for just one crucial beat. In that silent, tranquil space between stimulus and response, you will clearly recognize the seed of anger just beginning to sprout within your mind. You do not need to fight it or suppress it. You simply need to take a slow, deep breath in and release a long, gentle breath out, offering a soft smile of recognition to that anger. Because the fire of anger is no longer being fed the dry firewood of blind reaction and ego, it will naturally weaken, wither, and extinguish on its own. In that state of restored calmness, if words must be spoken, the words you choose to release will be saturated with deep understanding and profound loving kindness. They will be right speech words that possess the miraculous ability to heal, to comfort, and to bridge divides, rather than functioning as weapons of destruction. Guarding our speech and speaking wholesomely does not mean we must remain utterly silent, passively enduring injustice, abuse, or falsehoods. Right speech involves speaking the truth at the right time, in the right place, and crucially, from a mind completely free of the desire to inflict harm. Sometimes, a sincere piece of advice, even if it is direct and difficult to hear, can act as a precious, awakening medicine for another person, provided it is carefully wrapped in the soft silk of compassion and genuine respect. The journey of self-cultivation and spiritual refinement begins directly with observing, controlling, and transforming the karma of our speech. It is a long, arduous path that demands immense patience, gentle perseverance, and boundless self-compassion, let us not allow careless, unconscious words to erode our hard-earned blessings and obstruct our steps on the path to ultimate peace. Always remember, dear listeners, the mouth is the main gateway to the mind. When the mind is pure, calm, and blooming with the radiant lotus of compassion, the words that take flight from it will be like the fragrance of rare sandalwood, cooling, soothing, and bringing immeasurable peace to this entire world. The paradox of winning an argument. Have you ever noticed a subtle, yet profound paradox that often occurs in our daily interactions? We often invest a tremendous amount of energy, sometimes exhausting ourselves completely, just to win an argument or to prove that our perspective is the only correct one. We use sharp words, raise our voices, and tirelessly gather evidence to corner the other person until they are forced into silence. In that fleeting moment of victory, the ego feels a sudden surge of triumph. But if you sit quietly afterward and observe the lingering feelings within your heart, what do you truly find? Is it genuine happiness, or is it an inexplicable sense of emptiness, fatigue, and a heavy, lingering tension? This is a very common psychological state that many of us experience but rarely take the time to deeply examine. We mistake the temporary satisfaction of the ego for true peace. We mistakenly believe that asserting dominance through words will bring us respect and security. Yet, the reality is quite the opposite. When we use words as weapons to suppress others, the very first casualty is our own inner tranquility. The heavy energy of conflict does not dissipate when the argument ends. It settles deeply into our consciousness, becoming a dark cloud that obscures our natural joy. Why is it that the more we try to forcefully assert our rightness through harsh speech, the more our spiritual merit and inner peace seem to slip away like sand through our fingers? The Buddha's teaching on the echo of malicious words. To understand this deeply, let us reflect upon a timeless teaching from the Awakened One regarding the nature of anger and harmful speech. The Buddha once shared a profound metaphor to illustrate the inescapable consequences of directing malice toward others. He taught that a person who speaks cruel, hateful, or resentful words to another being is exactly like a foolish man who stands facing the wind and tries to throw a handful of fine dirt or hot ashes at someone else. The dirt and the ashes will never reach their intended target. Instead, they will be blown directly back by the wind, blinding the eyes and dirtying the face of the very person who threw them. Similarly, he taught that spitting at the open sky does not soil the heavens. The sky remains vast, pure, and untouched. The spit only falls back onto the face of the one who spat. This profound analogy reveals a universal spiritual law. The negative energy, the hostility, and the venom embedded in our words do not necessarily harm the person we are speaking to, especially if that person possesses a calm and mindful heart. However, those negative vibrations absolutely and immediately contaminate the mind of the speaker. Every harsh word we utter is a handful of hot ashes we throw into the wind of karma. And we are the first ones who must endure the burning pain, understanding the 3 types of merit-draining speech. According to the spirit of this teaching, if we pay close attention to the daily movements of our mind, we will recognize that there are specific patterns of speech that drain our spiritual merit faster than anything else. To protect our inner peace and nurture our blessings, we must clearly identify and gently let go of these 3 most destructive types of speech. First and foremost is the speech of endless complaining and resentment. In life, things will inevitably unfold in ways that do not align with our desires. The weather may be too hot, the traffic too congested, or the people around us may act unskillfully. When we constantly vocalize our dissatisfaction, complaining about every little inconvenience and blaming others, or blaming fate for our suffering, we are unconsciously broadcasting a frequency of profound lack and misery. Complaining does not change the objective reality of the situation. It merely amplifies the suffering within our own perception. Each time a complaint leaves our lips, it reinforces a victim mentality, telling the universe that we are powerless and unhappy. This constant vibration of negativity repels good fortune and drains our accumulated merit, leaving our spirits heavy and exhausted. True spiritual maturity begins when we learn to observe adversity in silence, accepting what is without adding the unnecessary weight of verbal resistance. The second type of merit-draining speech is the language of arrogant boasting and self-aggrandizement. When the ego feels insecure, it often tries to inflate itself by talking excessively about its own achievements, wealth, or perceived superiority. We may subtly put others down to make ourselves appear taller. Or we may constantly seek validation and praise through our words. However, the spiritual truth is that true virtue and genuine merit possess their own natural fragrance. They do not need to be loudly advertised. Like a beautiful flower blooming in the quiet forest, its scent will naturally attract the bees and butterflies, without the flower having to utter a single word. Arrogant speech stems from a deep-seated fear of not being enough. It creates a rigid barrier of separation between ourselves and others, blocking the flow of genuine connection and compassion. When we boast, we are consuming the fruits of our past good deeds in exchange for shallow, temporary admiration, thereby rapidly depleting our reservoir of merit. The third, and perhaps the most dangerous, is the speech of malicious gossip and divisive talk. This involves speaking ill of others behind their backs, spreading unverified rumors, and taking pleasure in the misfortunes or flaws of others. There is a strange, dark comfort that the ego finds in gossip, as tearing someone else down creates a false, fleeting illusion of standing on higher moral ground. But if you look deeply, participating in gossip is akin to drinking a slow-acting poison. It fills the mind with toxic seeds of suspicion, jealousy, and cruelty. When we engage in divisive speech, we are actively tearing the fabric of human harmony. The negative karmic seeds planted by destroying the reputations or relationships of others will eventually ripen into our own experiences of betrayal, isolation, and deep sorrow. To transform these habits, we do not need to forcefully suppress our speech. Instead, we simply need to invite the light of mindfulness into our daily interactions. Before you speak, pause for a moment, feel your breath, ask yourself, is what I am about to say completely true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it born from a desire to heal and uplift, or is it driven by an egoic need to complain, boast, or destroy? By cultivating this gentle, continuous awareness, we slowly close the leaks in our spiritual vessel. We begin to transform our words from sharp weapons into fragrant blossoms, preserving our merit and creating a profound, unshakable peace not only for ourselves, but for all those who cross our path. The story of the scattered feathers in the wind. Let us slowly step back into the ancient times, to a bustling city near the magnificent Jetavana monastery. to observe the life of a wealthy merchant named Sudata. Sudata possessed immense wealth, vast estates, and countless servants. From the outside, his life appeared to be a flawless tapestry of success and abundance. However, deep within his household, a suffocating atmosphere of fear and tension constantly lingered. The root of this heavy atmosphere was Sudata's uncontrollable temper and his sharp, unforgiving tongue. He had developed a deeply ingrained habit of using harsh words to assert his authority. Whenever a minor mistake occurred, a meal served slightly cold, a ledger with a small error, or a horse not groomed to his exact liking, Sudata would erupt into a fiery rage. He would hurl bitter insults, completely disregarding the dignity of his workers. Among his staff was an elderly, devoted overseer named Mahali. Mahali had served Sudata's family for 3 generations. He possessed a gentle heart and always tried to bring peace to the household, silently enduring the merchant's verbal abuse with patient compassion. One sweltering afternoon, a valuable gold ornament went missing from the main hall. Clouded by anger and jumping to conclusions without a single thread of evidence, Sudata immediately directed his wrath toward the most trusted person in the house. He summoned Mahali before all the servants and began a relentless tirade. "You ungrateful old man!" Sudata shouted, his face flushed with blind rage. "After all these years of feeding and sheltering you, you dare to steal from my very own home. Your loyalty is nothing but a filthy illusion, a mask to hide your greed." Mahali stood in stunned silence, his weathered face pale, his hands trembling not from fear, but from a profound, unspeakable sorrow. He did not raise his voice to defend himself. He simply looked at Sudata with eyes filled with tears, bowed deeply, and quietly packed his meager belongings. That evening, without a single word of protest, Mahali left the estate and walked out into the fading twilight, never to return. A few days later, the missing gold ornament was found perfectly safe, having merely slipped behind a heavy wooden chest. When the truth was revealed, a chilling wave of realization crashed over Sudata. The anger evaporated, leaving behind a hollow, agonizing void. He realized he had deeply wounded the most faithful person in his life. Driven by an overwhelming sense of guilt and profound inner torment, the merchant lost his appetite and could not sleep. His wealth brought him no comfort. His grand house felt like an empty tomb, desperate for solace and a way to undo his grievous error. Sudata traveled to the tranquil grounds of the Jetavana monastery to seek the guidance of a highly revered elder monk named Sariputta. Sitting humbly at the feet of the elder monk, Sudata poured out his heavy heart. "Venerable Sariputta, my mind is burning in a hell of my own making. I allowed the demon of anger to borrow my tongue, and I spoke words that sliced through the heart of an innocent man. My wealth means nothing now. I wish to take back every single word I said. Please, show me the way to erase this terrible mistake and restore the peace I have destroyed." The venerable Sariputta looked at the suffering merchant with eyes as deep and calm as a quiet lake. He did not scold or judge. Instead, he spoke in a soft, steady voice. "To understand the nature of what you have done, you must first perform a simple task. Go back to the marketplace and buy the largest, softest feather pillow you can find. Then take it to the highest hill overlooking the city. Wait for the strongest wind to blow, cut the pillow open, and let all the feathers scatter into the sky. Once you have done this, return to me, though confused by this strange request." Sudatta did exactly as he was instructed. He stood on the windy hilltop, tore the pillow apart, and watched as thousands of tiny white feathers were instantly swept away, dancing wildly in the gale, disappearing over rooftops into forests and down into the valleys. He returned to the monastery, feeling a strange sense of accomplishment. Venerable Sariputta, I have done as you asked. The wind has carried all the feathers away. Sariputta nodded gently. Very well. Now for the second part of your task. Take a large sack, go back down into the city, the valleys and the forests, and gather every single feather you just released. Bring them all back and stuff them perfectly into the pillow once again. Sudatta's eyes widened in shock and despair. But Venerable One, that is entirely impossible. The wind was fierce. Those feathers are scattered across the entire region. Some have fallen into rivers, some are tangled in high branches, some are blown miles away. I could spend the rest of my life searching, and I would never be able to retrieve even a fraction of them. They are gone forever. A profound silence settled between them. The Venerable Sariputta smiled, a smile filled with profound understanding and compassion. Exactly. The elder monk murmured softly, and so it is with our words. Your harsh words, spoken in the heat of anger, are exactly like those feathers released into the storm. Once they leave your lips, they are carried by the wind of karma into the world. They fall into the hearts of those who hear them, tangling in their memories, sinking deep into their consciousness. You may deeply regret them. You may wish with all your soul to take them back, but just as you can never gather those scattered feathers, you can never fully erase the impact of those cruel words from the mind of the one who received them. Tears streamed down Sudatta's face as the crushing weight of the truth settled upon him. Then, is there no hope for me? He whispered, must I carry this guilt forever? The past cannot be undone, but the present is entirely in your hands. Sariputta guided gently. You cannot retrieve the feathers that have already flown away, but you can make a firm, unwavering vow today, to never again let the wind of anger scatter such toxic seeds from your mouth. From this moment on, let every word you speak be a fragrant flower, not a piercing thorn. Use your wealth and your voice to heal, to uplift, and to bring comfort to the suffering. When you fill your heart with genuine loving kindness, the light of your present good deeds will gradually soften the dark shadows of your past mistakes. Awakened by this profound teaching, Sudatta bowed deeply, pressing his forehead to the cool earth. He returned to the city a changed man. He spent weeks searching tirelessly until he found the old overseer, Mahali, living quietly in a distant village. Sudatta knelt before him, shedding tears of genuine repentance, and begged for forgiveness, not with empty words but with a transformed heart, awakening to the power of gentle speech. Dear respected listeners, the story of Sudatta is not just an ancient tale. It is a mirror reflecting the daily struggles of our own human condition. How many times have we, in moments of blindness and agitation, stood on the windy hilltop of our emotions and ripped open the pillow of our anger, letting harsh, cutting words scatter into the lives of the people we love most? We often harbor the illusion that an apology can simply wipe the slate clean. We say, I didn't mean it, or I was just angry, believing that these phrases can act as magical erasers. But the spiritual reality is far more delicate. While a sincere apology is necessary and can begin the healing process, the energetic imprint of the harsh word has already been made. The feathers have already flown. The wound has already been inflicted. The profound lesson here is not to dwell in paralyzing guilt over the mistakes of the past. For guilt itself is just another heavy burden that keeps the mind trapped in darkness. True awakening lies in deep, continuous mindfulness of the present moment. It is the realization that the gateway of the mouth must be guarded by the gatekeeper of loving kindness. When the heat of frustration begins to rise in your chest, when the urge to criticize, demean, or sharply correct someone pushes against your teeth, remember the scattered feathers. Visualize them being carried away by the wind, out of your control, destined to cause invisible harm. In that crucial moment of visualization, take a slow, deep breath. Allow the space of silence to act as a cooling balm over the burning fire of the ego. By choosing silence over destructive speech, we stop the cycle of suffering in its tracks. By choosing words that comfort, encourage, and understand, we become gardeners of peace, planting seeds of joy in the hearts of everyone we meet. Letting go of the ego's desperate need to assert its dominance through words is one of the highest forms of spiritual release. It brings a lightness to the soul that no worldly victory could ever provide. If these reflections resonate with your heart and offer a moment of clarity on your spiritual path, please consider subscribing to the Buddha's Healing channel and sharing your thoughts in the comments below, so we may continue to nurture this wholesome energy together every day.